The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Let me just say, after video distorting the belt, they're proclaiming the real world champion. I'm going to tell y'all, with a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life. When you walk around this world and you tell everybody you're number one, the only way you get to stay number one is to be number one.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We are live here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube, along with Belly Up Sports on our YouTube channel. Great to be a part of that as well. And always powered up by SeatGeek.com, the official secondary market of the Captain Lou Sports Network and the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Visit SeatGeek.com, use the promo code Captain Lou, and you get $20 off your first purchase. If there's a wild card weekend game that you want to go to, including our Detroit Lions as they host the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday night, make sure you go to SeatGeek.com. Again, use the promo code Captain Lou, and you get $20 off your first purchase. That is SeatGeek.com. We got a lot to talk about here tonight. We've got a packed show. We're going to be on till about 8 o'clock Eastern time. So again, we invite you to stick around. We're going to talk about Michigan, the big win over Washington, the indeed national champions, the best team in all the land right now in college football. The kings of college football, Michigan, with a 34-13 win over Washington. But that's not all in college football. The bombshell that was dropped about 2 hours ago, Nick Saban is out. He is retiring from the Alabama head coaching job after 17 years, I believe 16 years, 6 national titles at Alabama, 1 at LSU. If he's not the greatest coach of all time, he's the greatest coach in our generation anyways, and possibly my lifetime. And right up there with Bear Bryant, if not a little better. Nick Saban built a winning culture at Alabama, and definitely a legend, and he is going to be, remembered as that. So big shoes to fill in Alabama right now, as Nick Saban is going to be stepping down as Alabama head coach. And I posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, Urban Meyer, my hot take. He'll be the next head coach of Alabama. So we'll keep an eye on that, just having a little fun with everybody. We mentioned Wildcard Weekend is upon us as well. We're going to go through all the matchups this weekend. 6 games on the docket, 2 on Saturday to kick things off. Houston and Cleveland, the Texans hosting the Browns at 4:30. Then the Peacock game in the early edition of the Ice Bowl, if you will. Kansas City hosting Miami. Frigid temperatures Saturday night in Kansas City. And there'll be a lot of star power there. Sunday, a triple header. It starts off with Buffalo against Pittsburgh at 1 o'clock. And the Packers and the Cowboys at 4:30, renewing a playoff rivalry from a long time ago. It's a storied rivalry in the NFL in playoff lore. So, who knows? That could be another big one. And, of course, the nightcap, the Lions. It's been 30 years, baby, since the Detroit Lions have hosted a playoff game, and they're going to do it, and it's going to be quite the storyline. Matt Stafford, of course, coming back to Detroit for the first time in an LA uniform. It's going to be the playoffs, 8:15 on NBC. And if you're at the game, make sure you if you see me in section 316, say hi to me. I'll be there live and in person. Can't wait for that one. It's going to be one heck of a scene in Detroit. I was there last Sunday for the Minnesota game. It was loud. It was crazy. And see, I'm getting all excited already, knocking my computer around. It's going to be even bigger and better than ever on Sunday night. And then the weekend wrap-up, just still shocked on why they would put this game on Monday Night Football. Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. Philadelphia looking to try to right the ship. Tampa Bay winning the NFC South at 9-8. Not the most glorious matchup for Monday Night Football and Wildcard Weekend, but hey, that's what they got planned. So big weekend. We're going to talk all about that here. And coming up in about 10 minutes, we had a conversation with a return guest of the show, Ronnie Eastman, Papa Ron of the Mafia Cast and Buff Rumblings. He's going to stop by, and we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills and the AFC playoff matchup. So a lot to talk about here tonight. It's, again, a football-packed day here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We invite you, as always, to be a subscriber to the Captain Lou Sports Network, and you can get all of our content on what goes on with the ACHA Power Play, which will be back up next Tuesday with another edition. And, of course, all of our Captain Lou Extravaganzas and our extravagant few minutes that we do daily when we don't do podcasts here on the network. So at 5 o'clock Eastern time. So, again, check out the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. Drop us a line, sweetlou1965 at yahoo.com, and follow us on X at Real Captain Lou, or you can follow us on Facebook, and that, of course, is the Captain Lou Extravaganza. All right, let's keep right on going. Michigan, all hail to the Wolverines, a 34-13 win over Washington on Monday night. Started out fast, boy. I'll tell you what, it looked like it could be a blowout, 14-3 after the first quarter, with all kinds of just on the ground. Two big runs by the Donovan Edwards, and they were up 17-3. Looked like they were on the precipice of maybe blowing it open, but Washington, when you've got Michael Penix, which I mentioned in my extravagant few minutes, and I've been on his bandwagon throughout the year, should have been the Heisman winner. All no disrespect to Jaden Daniels, but Michael Penix led him to an undefeated record in the regular season, put up some big numbers as well. He deserved to be the Heisman winner, even though he only had 255 yards, I believe, against Michigan on Monday night. It wasn't his fault. He had all kinds of pressure all night. Missed a couple of wide open, but he had a lot of drops too. So, I think that, he should have been the Heisman, but it was a good game. He kept him in until the fourth quarter, but a costly interception as well kind of sealed the deal. So Michigan is the national champions, 34-13. Again, a few questions that I think Michigan steamrolled throughout the regular season, and they did it the old-fashioned way, running the football. Is this a one-off? Are the teams going to go this route from here on out? Or are they going to stick with the pass-first mentality, RPO, whatever? I think this might be a one-off. It is Big Ten football, but Michigan, they built their defense. For those of you that, they changed defensive coordinators back in 2020. So they figured something had to be done. Don Brown got let go. They brought in Mike McDonald from Baltimore, and after a couple of years, he left. And then they brought in Jesse Minter, and they built that defense to stop Ohio State with C.J. Stroud and their ready-made NFL receivers. And they were able to do that against Washington on Monday night, but it was built right at the line of scrimmage on the defensive side, especially over the last couple of years. That was an NFL-type defense for Michigan, and they steamrolled through the Big Ten. And again, the ground game on the offensive side of the ball. Didn't even have to throw a pass in the second half against Penn State. In Ohio State, they wore them down in the second half. And obviously Iowa. And then Alabama, they won the line of scrimmage. Michigan shot themselves a few times in the foot in that game. That game shouldn't have been that close, but you got to give Alabama credit. Anytime you got a Nick Saban coach defense, or a team rather, they're going to be in the game for sure. So give credit to Michigan with that. Again, the way that they just steamrolled through the regular season. So in my opinion, they left no doubt. Michigan right now is the best team in football. Of course, I've been getting the raspberries from a few Georgia fans. Well, Georgia, if you're so good, you should have beat Alabama in the conference championship game. Alabama beat you. I don't call it an upset. Just because you got the 29-game winning streak, that was all last year and the year before. You weren't undefeated going in, and you did not win the conference championship. That's what they always say for the Big Ten and all the other conferences. So, Georgia, you were not the best team in the land. Michigan was. And so they deserve the kudos as the national champions. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now it begs the next question. What is next for Jim Harbaugh? What is he going to do? Is he NFL bound? He has, he's been to the top now at the college football level. He was this close at the professional level with San Francisco. Is that the last thing that is going to be on his plate? Who knows? It's going to be interesting to see what Jim Harbaugh does. Now, everybody's thinking he's going to go to a potentially ready-made situation in San Diego or Los Angeles, for that matter, for the Chargers. He might want to go to D.C. I don't think Chicago's in the cards, but you never know. One to keep an eye on, maybe Atlanta. But that, there's so many options for him. Or he might stay at Michigan. You've got the looming suspensions or whatever that are rearing their ugly head. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. It's going to be fun to keep an eye on Harbaugh to see where he goes. I personally don't think he's going to stay at Michigan. I think that he's got nothing left to prove at Michigan. I think he really would like to go back to the NFL and get that ring or chase that Super Bowl ring. But anybody who has an answer on what they think Nick or Jim Harbaugh is going to do, I think they're crazy. Nobody knows what that guy does. He's out there, man. And so it's going to be fun to see what is next for Jim Harbaugh. But again, all hail the Michigan Wolverines, the national champions. They were victorious on Monday night. Again, the capper to a perfect season. You heard J.J. McCarthy say last year, we're going to be back. We're going to finish the job. It was great to see Blake Corum get the ring, get a chance to play in the playoff after missing last year with the injury. Great to see the Donovan Edwards come back and get those 2 touchdowns. Both guys over 100 yards. 305 yards on the ground. Amazing. So Michigan, again, totally dominant throughout the year. And I just want to say one more thing about Michael Penix, too. I think his stock has risen, and I think he's a top 10, top 15 pick in the NFL, without a doubt. To me, that he should be anyways, and I think he would look good in an Atlanta Falcons uniform running that offense. They've got a little bit of talent down there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We will keep an eye on that because I think he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks coming out of this next draft. I know Caleb Williams has got all the talent, but, we'll see. I really do like Michael Penix if he could stay healthy. Reminds me a lot of Warren Moon coming out of college. And we all know the career that Warren Moon had in the CFL and, of course, in the NFL. So there we go. All right, let's switch gears here for a couple of minutes. Then we'll get into our interview with Papa Ronnie Eastman. Want to talk about the Detroit Lions, 12-5, baby, with a win over Minnesota. It wasn't pretty, but they were able to get the job done last Sunday, culminating with that 12-5 record. Now on to the playoffs. They get the Los Angeles Rams at home. We talked about it at the top. Stafford coming back for the first time in a Los Angeles Rams uniform. Boy, it's going to be weird seeing him there. But the storylines are there, Stafford versus Goff. But I like Detroit in this one. To me, it's going to come down to a few things. Detroit has to get pressure on Stafford. They've got to, Detroit's got to dial up the pressure. Stafford's not the mobile quarterback that some of the ones we've faced or the Lions have faced. And I think if Detroit can get pressure on Stafford, get him rushed into making some throws. We all know his history here in Detroit. He's prone for a couple of interceptions, that's for sure. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. And I don't know. I just think that they can advance. But if I was a betting man on this game, I don't normally bet on the Lions games. I don't want to jinx them. But I will say this. The over-under on this game is 51.5. I would take the over on this game. I think it's going to be a shootout. And obviously the weather's going to be ideal. It's indoors at Ford Field. It is going to be so loud in that stadium come Sunday night. Can't wait to be there in person. it is going to be absolutely phenomenal. I think this one's got the makings of a 34-27, 35-31 shootout. Who knows? Maybe somebody might put 40 up. We'll have to wait and see on that. So, yeah, really excited to bring that one. And I agree, Todd. It's going to be quite a story with the Lions and the Rams. And Todd also getting back to Michael Penix, thinks he's got too many injury issues for the Falcons. Well, we'll have to wait and see on that one. I just think he's got the talent. I think he's got the arm, and I think he's got the smarts to be an NFL quarterback. And I think he's going to be a welcome addition for anybody, but I do believe he is a top 15 pick in the NFL. So we want to thank Todd for taking time out tonight for his comments. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are indeed going to we had a chance to sit down with Papa Ronnie Eastman, talk a little AFC playoffs. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll be right back. You are watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza. It's live here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube, powered up by Belly Up Sports, and also powered up by SeatGeek, and also by McIntosh and Associates.
It's the biggest game of the year, and your team doesn't have a coach. They don't even have a game plan. You probably aren't feeling very good about their chances. Make sure you're prepared for one of the biggest financial decisions of your life, retirement. Do you have a coach? What about a plan? Set yourself up for success by calling 877-222-8849 and having Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and their team at McIntosh and Associates create your retirement playbook. They'll help you think through taxes, income, legacy planning, and much more. When you're done, you'll have a customized retirement game plan that you can feel confident in. Start planning today with Central Michigan's retirement coaches, Mindy and Nolan McIntosh at McIntosh and Associates. Call 877-222-8849. That's 877-222-8849. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Now you're sitting as a number 2 seed in the East. Welcome to the show again, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you on both counts. Yeah, it's good to be back. Appreciate you having me back on here. It has definitely been a wild 5 weeks for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too, because these games, the only blowout I think you had was taking care of the Dallas Cowboys, the Detroit Lions arch enemy number 1 at the moment. But big games over, close games over Miami, obviously Sunday, and then before that with New England, a pesky rival of yours. What's been your keys to the turnaround or the momentum change, man?
I think most people would probably say Josh Allen first and foremost, but I'm going to step backward because that's the obvious answer, right?
Yeah, right.
But at the end of the day, like even last night's game, he had 3 turnovers, 2 picks, and the fumble.
Yeah.
And even though at the end of the day, he made the plays that need to be made and got the job done, but it's the defense. That Bills defense over the last 4 or 5 weeks has been absolutely fantastic, forcing turnovers. And I think last night the Dolphins had, I believe, 5 possessions in the second half, 4 punts and a turnover. They held them to, I think it was 8 yards rushing in the second half. Tua had like 47 yards passing in the second half. The defense showed up. They came to play, and that's how it's been for the past month plus now. I don't know what's changed. The addition of Rasul Douglas, I think, has been huge. But then even that, we lost him last night. Hopefully not long-term. I don't know. But, this defense has been coming to play.
You know, it's amazing, Ronnie, that whenever you see a team turn it around and play so much better, it starts with the defense. And, you know, we talked about that too. You had mentioned a month ago or so that the defense had to step up. Josh Allen, is Josh Allen. He giveth, sometimes he taketh away, but you live with it.
Yes.
He's got you in the playoffs. But boy, oh boy, to me, your defensive line and the pressure. Wow, I've noticed that in some of the games that I've watched.
And that's even with Von Miller not being Miller. Like he's been a shadow of himself lately, and he was even inactive, a healthy scratch in the 2 games ago. But you brought up the giveth and taketh with Josh Allen. I tweeted last night that Josh Allen makes me drop more F-bombs than anything that I know. But the very next play makes you fall in love with him again. That's who he is. It's very Brett Favre-esque, if you will.
Oh boy, yeah.
And you know what? Brett's got some MVPs. Brett's a Hall of Famer. Brett's got a Super Bowl, so we'll take it. But yeah, the defense, the pressure up front, Gregory Rousseau, Leonard Floyd, Ed Aller's been absolutely fantastic. Daquan Jones got back just in time. It's a solid front.
So I'm going to take you back to Saturday. Just for everybody that knows this up front, we are taping this interview on Monday night before the Michigan game. I'm on pins and needles myself right now, but I want to take you back, Ronnie, to Saturday. And, at the beginning of the day, that it could be a win, or if you don't win, you're out. And going into that Pittsburgh game, and then they win, and you got to be thinking, oh my goodness, wow, in that slop fest. What were your emotions like on Saturday night?
Saturday it wasn't bad. I didn't expect the Ravens to win that game.
Okay.
But going into Sunday, I feel like the Titans had a decent chance because Jacksonville just hasn't been playing well as of late.
No.
Trevor Lawrence was injured, banged up, didn't play last week. He even when he was playing, he wasn't playing that well.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't shock me. I think how, I guess, easily the Titans came away with that. Like the Jaguars had no fight in them, it seemed. But I said going into Sunday morning, I was thinking, you know what? If we can just get this Tennessee win and lock up a playoff spot, I'm going to go into the Sunday night game feeling much better, much more relaxed. I was absolutely not the case. If you're a Bills fan, you do not want to lose to the Dolphins. You do not.
No.
Dolphins fans, I know some really cool Dolphins fans, good people, but a lot of them are just not kind. And I won't name any names on the actual Dolphins team as far as the roster, but there are some that I cannot stand, and I can't wait for them to be out of the league entirely. There's a lot of reasons to not like the Dolphins as far as I'm concerned. So you don't want to lose that game. You don't want to give them the satisfaction of taking the AFC East crown from the Bills. It's 4 years in a row now. So hopefully we can keep this going, and who knows? You never know where we might be in a month from now.
Yeah, you and I talked about the Dolphins team, a month ago, and we both had said, and it's easy to look back on this now and hindsight, whatever. They never really beat anybody, and the stats back it up. And against teams over 500, I think they may have had one win, and that was the Cowboys, wasn't it? Win. Yeah, right. And so it's not shocking, but it's still. I look at the two teams. You look at Miami and you look at Jacksonville. Jacksonville was 8-3 at one point, and everybody was talking about them as the darlings, the potential Super Bowl team, and Miami in the same breath. And now all of a sudden, Buffalo went from, with all due respect, when they were 6-6, a lot of folks thought them as an afterthought to the playoffs. Now, Papa Ron, they are the third. They've got the third best odds to win it all. It's crazy what a difference a month makes.
It's insane. It really is. And even within our own fan base, I argue with many people. Just give this team a chance. They can win 5 straight. You look at the last 3 years. I think we mentioned this the last time I was on the show. But you look at the last 3 years, they've 6, 4, and 7 straight wins. That's how they've closed out the last 3 seasons. And I saw no reason why they couldn't do it again this year, because even though they were not winning a lot of these games, it was win one, lose one, they're one of only 2 teams that has not lost a game by double digits. It's them and the Ravens. They were always in the game all the time. And I just got to get, ball bounce their direction just once, 1 or 2 big plays here or there, and it changes it. And that's what happened last night. They were struggling, and then Deontay Hardy hit that big 96-yard punt return for 6, changed the game, completely flipped the momentum. So in every game has kind of been that way. We just need that one big play here or there to get things going again, and that's what happened.
So you've got the momentum, and it looks like Ronnie, you guys are relatively healthy, which is nice. Now you get the home environment to take on Pittsburgh. And wow, how ironic is that? Is both of you teams were teetering on the edge of getting in, and all of a sudden you get to host them in Wild Card Weekend on Sunday at 1:00. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, and it looks like too the Steelers are probably going to be without T.J. Watt. So, score one for the Bills on that end. It's unfortunate. Like, you never wish for your opponents to be injured or whatever, but that's the nature of the games, and it looks like he's probably going to be out. However, Buffalo, Gabe Davis last night, injured. It looks like probably a knee injury, non-contact. He didn't finish the game. In fact, he was in street clothes coming out at halftime. Who was the other one? Rasul Douglas. Not 100% sure what happened to him, but he was limping off the field. Didn't come back in, but he was still in uniform, so it kind of makes me wonder if maybe he could have gone in if they felt like they absolutely needed to. And then there was a third one now, which escapes me. It was another defensive player, but it was our linebacker, Dotson, I believe. And we also lost Ty Johnson, the running back, concussion, looks like. So we'll see what that prognosis looks like going forward. But on paper, this should be an easy win. But we know how the Bills season's been going. Their season's been anything but predictable, and I expect a close, hard-fought win, regardless.
Yeah, and you got Pittsburgh coming in. Mason Rudolph is playing okay. They're doing it on smoke and mirrors. It just, the Steelers, it just shows you, Ronnie, how well coached they really are. And again, 10-7 for what they have on offense is, to me, a testament to Mike Tomlin and how well he's done. And I'm not taking anything away from Sean McDermott, because I think he's done a heck of a job too. And a sign of good coaching to me is keeping the ship going the right way. And that's McDermott and it's Tomlin, when you guys could have easily both sprung a leak and sunk.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tomlin's one of my favorite coaches outside of, Buffalo. And he's actually one of those guys that I point to when talking about Sean McDermott, because there's a lot of, noise, or was, about his firing this offseason or even weeks ago, especially when we were 6-6. And I always point to the Steelers as a whole. They've had, 4 coaches in their entire history. And there's a reason why they are successful and have a good, solid team every single year. There's a reason why they have, 5 or 5 Super Bowls, at least 5, I believe. And that's what I want for Buffalo. I want them to have that consistency. I think Coach McDermott, no, he's not the best coach in the league, but he's good enough for this organization to get this team to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, and win it and be a contender every single year. I don't want to have a 5-6 year run and then fall off and then have to rebuild for 3 or 4 seasons. Hopefully you rebuild. We all know about the Bills' playoff drought of 17 years. That didn't work out. It took a while. Yeah. So, I think consistency, continuity is huge for an NFL team. And look at a couple of the comments from the players last night after the game. They talked about the family atmosphere, the culture there. I believe it's Deontay Hardy made the comment about when he was in New Orleans, he saw what was going on from the outside and wanted to be a part of that. That right there is exactly why McDermott should keep this job and keep it for a long, long time, because of what him and Brandon Beane have built as far as the culture and the winning attitude and the family there. You can't, not just anybody can come in and do that. And guys want to play for him.
So let's get you said you predicted Buffalo to beat Pittsburgh on Sunday. What is it going to take for Buffalo to do that?
Well, I think number one, our receivers have got to get open. Even more than that, they got to hold on to the ball, man. There's the drops. James Cook, easy touchdown, is a great pass from Allen, and Cook dropped it. That's kind of been a little bit of an issue. I think that's his second or third touchdown that Cook has dropped now. I don't know the situation with Gabe Davis. It doesn't look good. I mean, anytime you come up limping on a non-contact injury, 9 times out of 10, you're gone. You're done.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate for him because he is going to be a free agent this summer. So that's going to play into his potential payday. I'm not saying that I want him to leave the Bills or whatever, but I do think the Bills need to maybe look at another option for a number 2 wide receiver and protect Josh Allen. Keep getting Kincaid. Kincaid and Shakir both had great games last night, and I think those two are, in my opinion, the future of the team. The team needs to build around them and Cook going forward. Diggs, he's not getting any younger. He had a good game last night too, and I think he still has a few more years in him. But those two guys with Shakir and Kincaid and Cook, those 3 guys are somebody that they can really build around. Keep them involved. On the defensive side, just keep doing what they're doing. Like you said, pressure. I don't think Mason Rudolph can hold up under the pressure. I think he's going to give away a few if you get in his face. And I think that's about it. I'm not predicting any kind of a shutout or anything here, but I don't see the Steelers scoring a lot on this defense.
No, I tend to agree with you on this one. Again, a lot of it's going to depend on the weather. I know in the Detroit area, Friday night into Saturday. Well, here I live about an hour and 15 minutes west of Detroit, and Friday night into Saturday, they're calling for a foot of snow here. So I don't know. Obviously, Detroit's indoors, but for Buffalo on Sunday, I don't know what the weather's going to be like there. If it's going to be cold and nasty with the snow off the lake, we'll see. But I tend to agree with you. I think Buffalo is that's my pick anyways to win that one. And we'll see what the point spread is before I call on that. So we're joined
it's
here.
At 10 right now.
Oh, okay. That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo's going to win, but anytime you get into double digits, especially in the playoffs, wow, that's crazy. We're joined by
you're talking about Bills too.
Well, yeah. I mean, and the Lions as well. You know, Ronnie Eastman joining us from the Mafia Cast. He's the host of the Mafia Cast and also Buff Rumblings. They've got their podcast on Thursday night at 7:00. Ronnie, I want to talk to you. Let's go over some playoff matchups besides Buffalo's. Right in your division, you've got Miami now. They're going to Kansas City. Now, I did hear it is going to be cold on Saturday night. They're talking 5 to 10 degrees for game time Saturday night in Kansas City. We talked about Tua in Miami. They're scuffling, but Kansas City, they're 10-7, I think, or 11-6, whatever their record was.
11-6.
They didn't even look that good. They look off. And what is your gut feeling on that game Saturday night?
I think Kansas City is going to come out with that one. One, they're in KC, so it's a home game for them. I do think that they're probably, I don't want to say they're built more for the cold weather because the Dolphins can run the ball really well. But the experience that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid bring to the table, as far as playoff experience goes, I know the Chiefs haven't been playing that well as of late, like the past month or so, month and a half. But like you said, the Dolphins haven't beat anybody with a winning record outside of the Cowboys, which they won that one by 2 points. And even the Cowboys are not a good road team. So something had to give in that particular matchup. And the Chiefs beat the Dolphins the last time they faced earlier this year. I don't recall the score. But I don't see Patrick Mahomes dropping one to Tua and the Dolphins, especially with all the injuries, albeit some of them might be back, Waddle potentially. But I just don't see the Chiefs losing in the playoffs at home to the Dolphins.
I got to agree with you there. That Miami, I think, is their snake bit right now. And, boy, confidence is a huge thing. Once you lose it, it's tough to get it back. I agree. Yeah. The other matchup in the opening round in the AFC it's going to be a very intriguing game. It's the opening game of the weekend, and it's Cleveland going to Houston. And the Deshaun Watson Bowl. That is going to be, although he's not playing, you got Joe Flacco with the fountain of youth. To me, that's going to be an interesting game to watch because Joe's been there. He's done that, Ronnie. And CJ Stroud has had a heck of a year as a rookie, but he hasn't. I want to see how he handles the playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I like watching this Houston team, though. Over the summer, I actually did some work for them as far as writing. All the Bill stuff I do kind of took precedence, so I had to set that aside.
Right.
I like the Texans team. Even before the season started, I said then the only way that team gets in the playoffs, which I think they could do, is if they won the division. And that's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But and I remember preseason, an article came out, and I want to say it was from PFF, Pro Football Focus. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote that. But they ranked the receiving core of the Texans dead last. And I said then, be careful. I think this team, especially that receiving core, is going to be much better than people anticipate. Nico Collins had kind of a breakout season. You got Robert Woods, who's he's not the same Bobby Trees, as they call him, as he was a few years back, but he's still a solid veteran and can help lead that receivers room. And then you've got Tank Dell, who that guy is just lightning quick. He's fun to watch, and it's unfortunate that he's out for the season now. But and CJ Stroud, man, I don't even know what to say, to be honest. Like, he shocked me. I didn't go into the season thinking he was going to be a bust or anything, but I didn't expect what we've seen from him either. Like, he looks like a seasoned vet out there. Like, he's been doing this for 10 years, and it's crazy to see it. And then that Texas defense, they're pretty solid too.
Yeah, I agree. And the theory that I have on it, and I think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder only because he wants to prove that he can win the big games, and he didn't do that at Ohio State. And I think that left a sour taste in his mouth. I've listened to his interviews, before he got drafted, and, he's playing with a purpose. And that he was a confident quarterback at Ohio State. And I like just the leadership role he's taken there. And what a great draft for the Texans to get him.
Yeah, him, Will Anderson.
Yeah.
They did a great job of bringing in some veteran leadership on both sides of the ball too. Like I said, with Robert Woods. And then on the defensive side, they brought in DeMeco Ryans, brought in some guys from San Francisco. So they did a really good job of building that team with some youth as well as some leadership to bring that youth along. And to your point, CJ Stroud has stepped into a leadership role almost instantly. We saw the game, I think it was Saturday. He's standing in the middle, and they're all around him listening to every word he's saying, and he's pumping them up. And then you don't see that a lot of times from rookies. They're just not comfortable in that role yet. But he's taking it and is running with it. And I would not be shocked if the Texans pull this off. I wouldn't be.
The big news in your division away from the playoffs, and again, we are taping this interview on Monday afternoon, and it's airing obviously tonight. And if it changes, if we have an answer, but Bill Belichick at New England, it to me appears that he's coached his last game there. He acts like he hasn't, but it's coach speak. He's good at that. What is your gut and what you might be hearing, if anything, out of New England, out of Foxborough with Bill Belichick? I know he's very close to setting the all-time record, but I just think that it's time we're going to see a mutual parting of the ways in New England.
It's possible, but until it actually happens, I'm not going to buy it.
Okay.
It does sound like that it's the end of the road for him, but think about it. The Patriots are going to have one of the top picks in the draft next year. They're going to have an opportunity to get Caleb Williams, Drake May, was it Caden Williams? What's the Jaden or Jaden? Is it Williams? The Heisman winner.
Jaden Daniels.
Daniels, thank you. But there's a good, 5 good quarterbacks that are probably going to go in the top 10 in this coming draft. So if you can give Bill Belichick that guy finally that he hasn't had since obviously Brady left, and the way that the defense is already pretty solid, you've got their number one pass rusher coming back next year from the injury, whose name escapes me, but it's just hard for me to accept or believe that he's going to walk out of the New England on this way. And as a fan, as a Bills fan, I want him to stay because this is fun watching the Bills kick his ass every single season now.
Yeah.
We went 20 years of Tom Brady doing that to the Bills. It's our turn. But I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. maybe he bolts and he goes to, no pun intended, but the Chargers.
All right. We want to thank Ronnie Eastman for joining us. You can catch him on the Mafia Cast every Thursday night, or the Buff Rumblings podcast every Thursday night at 7:00. And of course, one of the co-hosts of the Mafia Cast. Great insight on what's going on with the Buffalo Bills. One heck of a run for them. It is so funny that 4 weeks ago, or 5 weeks ago, they were 6-6, whatever it was. And, they were a long shot to get into the NFL playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl. Now, behind Baltimore and San Francisco, they have the third best odds to win the Super Bowl. They went from Saturday night not knowing, or Saturday at 3:00 not knowing if they were even going to get into the playoffs. They needed obviously a win and you're in, but with Houston winning, that obviously helped. And then with Jacksonville winning, they were guaranteed a spot, but Jacksonville losing rather. So they go from potentially not getting into the playoffs to getting a number 2 seed. That's how crazy the AFC was. And now they have the number 2 seed with a home game, potentially 2 home games. And should they win against Pittsburgh, which, Todd Corder chiming in, thinking it's going to be an upset, taking Pittsburgh. I just don't see it. Todd, I love you like a brother, but no, I just don't see Mason Rudolph going into Buffalo and winning that game. They could cover. They could get within 10, but I just think Buffalo's got too much for them, and Buffalo's going to move on. And should Kansas City win in that frigid game against Miami, which I think they're going to, that's where I really want to see how good Patrick Mahomes is, because he's going to have to go on the road in the playoffs for the first time. He's never won on the road in the playoffs. He's never played on the road in the playoffs. So that's going to be a very interesting tell there. But also keep in mind, though, one thing. 2-1 in Buffalo in the cold. So, I kind of waver a little bit on that, but Miami hasn't beaten anybody of relevance except the Cowboys, and that was at home. That's their only win against a team, I believe, over 500. So they've been doing it. I don't know if they're fool's gold or not, but I'm just not totally sold on Miami right now, especially going into Kansas City on Saturday night. Obviously, when you go on the road in the playoffs, the home crowd is always an advantage. It's going to be loud as you know what in Kansas City. They're known for it, with the decibel levels and all that. And the cold weather is not going to stop the Kansas City fans, but it is really going to be quite a fun atmosphere there. And, so you've got Buffalo hosting Pittsburgh, as we mentioned. Then you've got an interesting game with Cleveland in Houston with C.J. Stroud, like we talked about, just riding a playoff or a rookie season high. I got to believe he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year. He deserves it, taking that team to the division championship. I know there's Okua or whatever, Nakua, whatever, however you pronounce his name, from the Rams. But how can you go against C.J. Stroud for offensive rookie of the year? I know Nakua's put up some decent numbers, but Houston won the division. For those of you that were like me that took the over-under, congratulations on Houston wins at the beginning of the year. With Will Anderson Jr., they had one hell of a draft, and they've got some exciting weapons. Cleveland, the resurgence of Joe Flacco, absolutely amazing there as well. So, it really is. It's a fun scene right now in the AFC. So we're going to take a break. We come back. We're going to take a little more. We're going to switch gears and tell you what we think is going to happen in the NFC playoffs. So don't go anywhere. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live on the Belly Up Network on YouTube and the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube.
It's the biggest game of the year, and your team doesn't have a coach. They don't even have a game plan. You probably aren't feeling very good about their chances. Make sure you're prepared for one of the biggest financial decisions of your life, retirement. Do you have a coach? What about a plan? Set yourself up for success by calling 877-222-8849 and having Mindy and Nolan McIntosh and their team at McIntosh & Associates create your retirement playbook. They'll help you think through taxes, income, legacy planning, and much more. When you're done, you'll have a customized retirement game plan that you can feel confident in. Start planning today with Central Michigan's retirement coaches, Mindy and Nolan McIntosh at McIntosh & Associates. Call 877-222-8849. That's 877-222-8849. Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We are live here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube and, of course, the Belly Up Network on YouTube as well. We're pleased to be a part of that. You can follow us on Twitter at The Real Captain Lou, or X, I guess. It's taken me a year and a half to figure that out, but it's X. Follow us on Facebook, the Captain Lou Extravaganza Facebook page. And again, subscribe to our network, the Captain Lou Sports Network, where you will get all of our programming, all of our shows for this and the ACHA Power Play, and all of our extravagant few minutes that we do weekdays at 5 o'clock Eastern time, the days that we don't have our podcast. So a lot going on with the network, Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. We invite you to be a part of that as well. And also, we are powered up by SeatGeek.com. SeatGeek, the official secondary market of the Captain Lou Sports Network and Belly Up Sports. Use the promo code Captain Lou for $20 off your first purchase. If you're going to Wildcard Weekend, you don't have your tickets yet, going down to Dallas or in Detroit or Houston or wherever, bring your warm clothes if you're going to Buffalo and Kansas City, but use SeatGeek.com and get $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. Use that promo code Captain Lou. All right, before we get into the other two games, want to go back to the Lions game real quick. Talk about something. Sam Laporta is right now today listed as questionable. Of course, the back and forth, should he played, should he have not played? I don't begrudge Dan Campbell for playing Laporta at all. I think he should have. I think it was smart playing the starters. You can say what you want about the limited chances Detroit had of getting the 2 seed. We all know Philadelphia kind of spit the bit against New York. Kind of saw that coming. Dallas against Washington. I'll give Dallas credit. What was I going to say now? I'm going to give Dallas credit. I give Dallas credit for I lost the train of thought there. Anyways, Dallas winning on the road finally, but they're going to be a tough out. But I do not begrudge Detroit at all for playing their starters. Good news, I did see some highlights of Jamo in practice today. He's looking pretty good with that sprained ankle. It'll be good to have Jameson Williams back for Detroit Sunday night against the Rams. So really looking forward to that. It should be quite the weekend. So, but again, Detroit going into the game, a 3-point favorite at home. And the over-under is 51.5. I love the Lions in this one. The thing to keep in mind with the Lions is Jared Goff is going to have that chip on his shoulder because he still feels slighted from Sean McVay, and I don't blame him. And God bless Matt Stafford. He did a lot for Detroit. Always going to have a place in my heart. One of the toughest SOBs to play quarterback for the Lions. The pounding that he took, especially early in his career, but that's in the past. It's like anything else. I'm loyal to the Lions. This is Jared Goff's team at quarterback, so God bless him. And you know what? I'm sorry, Kelly Stafford. They wouldn't give you a suite at Ford Field. This isn't LA. This is Detroit. So all hail the Lions coming up on Sunday night. The other two games in the playoffs in the NFC, we talked about Dallas. They're hosting Green Bay. We know the lore. We know the history, the Ice Bowl, Bart Starr, Don Meredith, the games at the Cotton Bowl in the 60s, some big games earlier in this decade, back in the late 90s, all kinds of lore. Boy, that's going to be a fun game to watch too. That's going to be that's going to precede the Lions game against Los Angeles. That should be a dandy as well. But I know we as Lion fans saw what Green Bay did to Detroit on Thanksgiving. They were able to get pressure on Jared Goff. And if they can do that against Dak and make him make some rash decisions, they've got a shot. Jared Love, 32 touchdown passes this year. Can he continue that success against Dallas? It's funny because, as you know, I've talked many times on this show, being a Lion fan, rooting for the Packers to win, it kind of seems sacrilege. But Green Bay, I'll tell you what, they've looked impressive. Jordan Love's looked good. We'll have to wait and see because if Green Bay wins, that means and Detroit wins, Detroit gets another home game in the playoffs. That's why I'm rooting for Green Bay. And we all know as Lion fans what happened down in Dallas. Either way, if Detroit wins, I'm telling you, you talk about a chip on your shoulder. If they have to go back down to Dallas, I'd rather be playing at home. But that's going to be an interesting game. I would tend to go with the over, but I just think Green Bay's defense is just not going to be able to handle Dallas right now. They're rolling. They're at home. Dallas could put quite a few points up. I could see the over in that game as well. The over-under is 50.5 on that one. I'm leaning towards the over on that with Dallas and Green Bay. And finally, the Monday night game, Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. Why they put this game on Monday night, I have no idea. This is going to be an interesting matchup. Tampa Bay's banged up. Baker Mayfield, a heck of a run. I give them all the credit in the world getting back to the playoffs, this time with Tampa Bay. Can Philly stop the bleeding in this one? There's so many things going on there. I was on our Belly Up Super Show last night, and Jared Clem is all talking about how this is bunk with Sirianni, maybe on his way out if they lose this one. Well, I got to tell you, I don't know. There's dissension there. It's a mess there. And I'll tell you one thing that's going to stop Philadelphia, and I brought this up. 2 words that could put a stymie in Philadelphia's playoff run. Matt Patricia. We saw what his defense has done. He was quite the genius in Detroit. I mean, no. I don't see Philadelphia going very far. They might be able to beat Tampa, and who knows after that, but I just don't see it happening. Then they'd have to go to San Francisco probably, unless there's another upset in the NFL. So I don't know. I don't see it happening. I really, really don't. All right. Again, the breaking news earlier today, Nick Saban retired as the head coach at Alabama after 16 years, I believe 16 or 17 years at the top at Alabama, 6 national championships with the Crimson Tide, numerous all-pro or people that have become all pros. They were probably paid like pros. I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. No, numerous All-Americans at Alabama. He, of course, got he got a national championship at LSU after he left Michigan State and all that. Quite a career for one of the top coaches in this generation, if not of all time. He's got to be right up there with all of the best coaches of all time in college football and football in general. I mean, he was, they were a dominant team for a lot of years in the SEC. He's one of the reasons why the SEC is definitely, the best conference in all its college football until this year, with the Big Ten taking over that reign, at least for 1 year, with Michigan winning the national championship. So it quite the shocking news, if you will, in the NFL this weekend, or today rather, or I'm sorry, in college football with Nick Saban retiring. And also, speaking of the NFL, we had some shocking news, I think, up in Seattle with Pete Carroll stepping down as the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to be kept on as quote unquote a advisor role for now, probably because they need to pay off his contract or whatever. The first thing that strikes me with Pete Carroll, the guy's 72 years old. He doesn't look it. He's had a lot of success at Seattle, winning a Super Bowl. I know he was one step ahead of the law at USC with all the shenanigans going on there, but we won't talk about that. But he was quite successful in Seattle, had him on the precipice of winning 2 Super Bowls if it weren't for that interesting play call at the goal line against New England. But, it's been a good run for Pete Carroll. we'll see if he's really done as a head coach in the NFL. There's a few openings around with the coaching carousel, but some shocking news today in the coaching front with Pete Carroll stepping down at Seattle. And then, of course, the news out of Alabama with Nick Saban retiring at Alabama. So I tell you, some interesting news in the world of in the coaching world, in the pros, and in college football. Well, we're just about set to go here that's going to just about do it here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. And again, we want to thank Ronnie Eastman for coming on from the Buff Rumblings podcast, the Mafia Cast, whatever you'd like to call it. And of course, all hail the Michigan Wolverines as the champions in the NFL or in college football, 15-0 with a convincing win to cap off the the postseason and the regular season, 34-13 over Washington. So congratulations to Jim Harbaugh, J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, the Don, all of them, Donovan Edwards, all the coaches in all the players rather at Michigan. So Michigan finishing off an undefeated season and a national championship. Kind of wanted to close tonight. Want to talk a little bit. Want to say goodbye to a couple of compadres, if you will, some fellow broadcasters that were taken from us here in the last couple of weeks. And kind of sad. Found out over the holiday that a good friend of mine, Brett Luthner, passed away, a fellow broadcaster with the ACHA. Had the pleasure of doing many ACHA broadcasts with Brett over the years in Columbus and then down in Dallas. A great talent. He did a lot of minor league baseball games as well. A very knowledgeable man and a family man. As I posted on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, we used to talk a lot about, the ACHA and hockey and pro wrestling. Brett was a big pro wrestling fan, as I was. He was a good man, a family man, and a very, very passionate man when it came to not only pro sports, college sports, but his family as well. And also wanted to say goodbye to a friend that suddenly passed away over the weekend, known as Pop DiBiase, Jamil Brown. I got to know Pop a little bit. He's been on the show. It'd been a while since he'd been on. But you talk about a guy that had the passion and the love of sports in general. And he had to get up and go. You talk about a guy that was going to make it in this world. And he was taken way too young, 39 years of age. It's a sad day, but I want to, just want to look back and just say thank you for giving me the opportunity to get to know both of you. Last time I talked to Pop, we would kid back and forth about the Lakers, but I got to tell you, he had the drive, he had the passion, the enthusiasm, and seeing all the people that the tributes to him as well. A great guy, always gracious with his time. And he really made an effort to get out there. And, he was at the draft, at the NFL draft, and going to the fights in Vegas all the time, getting to talk to some big name people. And he's another one that's going to be sorely missed. And I know both Brett and Pop are flying high. And I just wanted to, as I mentioned with Brett, we both worked in Dallas for the Nationals and Columbus for the ACHA Nationals. Want to take you back to 2019. Here's Brett Luthner calling the finals for Dallas for the ACHA Men's Division II.
It's going to roll all the way to the empty net. It's going to go just wide, but Florida Gulf Coast winning the race is Wong. Tripped up on the play. Here comes the rush up by Northeastern. Half a minute to go in this national championship game. Played off the glass and back out. Northeastern with the puck, 21 to go. Up the boards, you can hear the Gulf Coast fans cheering. They've been the top team, one of their top teams all season, Florida Gulf Coast. 6 seconds to go in this game. In on the near side boards, going around with 3. The centering pass broken up. And for the third time in the last 4 years, the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles are the ACHA Division II national champion.
Brett Luthner on the call of that one again, way back 5 years ago, 2019. The call on that Florida Gulf Coast victory in the ACHA Nationals Men's Division II. Brett Luthner and Pops DiBiase, fly high, guys. It was my pleasure getting to know you guys. And again, like I mentioned, your enthusiasm and passion for sports and your families will sorely be missed. So long. All right, that's going to do it. Again, enjoy the football this weekend. And I know Pops DiBiase's up there voting for his Cleveland Browns. I know he was excited for them to make it back to the playoffs. So I know he'll be rooting and cheering them on up there. But enjoy the football this weekend, everybody. I know I'm going to. And if you're at Ford Field Sunday, look for me. I'll be in the upper deck, section 316. Can't wait to be there at Ford Field to watch the Lions take on the LA Rams. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. You're on Belly Up Sports and the Captain Lou Sports Network. Captain Lou saying, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Good night, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, so long, everybody.